This is the VOA Special English Development Report. The earliest process of making paper was done almost 5,000 years ago in Egypt and the Nile Valley. In those days, paper was made from strips of the papyrus plant. Modern paper making began in China about 2,000 years ago. This process produced paper from cloth, straw, wood, or the bark of trees. The raw materials are struck over and over until they become loose. Then they are mixed with water. After the water has been removed, the flat, thin form remaining is permitted to dry. This becomes a sheet of paper. Large machines started to be used for making paper near the end of the 16th century. Today, paper making is a big business. But it is still possible to make paper by hand, since the steps are the same as using big machines. You should choose paper with small amounts of printing. Old envelopes are good for this reason. Colored paper can also be used, as well as small amounts of newspaper. Small pieces of rags or cloth can be added. These should be cut into pieces about 5 centimeters by 5 centimeters. Everything is placed in a container, covered with water, and brought to a boil. It is mixed for about 2 hours with some common chemicals and then allowed to cool. Then it is left until most of the water dries up. The substance left, called pulp, can be stored until you are ready to make paper. When you are ready, the pulp is mixed with water again. Then the pulp is poured into a mold. The mold is made of small squares of wire that hold the shape and thickness of the paper. To help dry the paper, the mold lets the water flow through the small wire squares. After several more drying steps, the paper is carefully lifted back from the mold. It is now strong enough to be touched. The paper is smoothed and pressed to remove trapped air. You can use a common electric iron used for pressing clothes. There are many other technologies for people making paper using small machines. More information about making homemade paper can be found on the internet. You can also order information on paper making through the website enterpriseworks.org. For VOA Special English, I'm Carolyn Persutti. Transcripts, MP3s, and podcasts of our reports are at voaspecialenglish.com. You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and iTunes at VOA Learning English.
This is the VOA Special English Technology Report. Solar water heaters are used around the world and are not very difficult to build. The system we are going to describe is based on a design developed some years ago in Afghanistan. Since then, it has been built and used in many countries. It can heat 70 liters of water to 60 degrees Celsius. It can do this between sunrise and noon on a clear day with an average air temperature of 32 degrees Celsius. There are 2 parts to the solar water heater. One part is made of a sheet of metal painted black. Black surfaces become hotter in the sun than surfaces painted any other color. This black metal plate is called a collector. The collector is placed in contact with the water. There are several kinds of metal sheets that can be used for the collector. Corrugated metal will work very well. Corrugated sheets are often used as roofs on housing. Once the water is heated, it is kept hot with insulation material. This allows the water to stay warm for a long time. The second part of the solar water heater holds the water for the system. This storage tank can be a container that holds about 100 liters. 2 rubber pipes are attached to the water storage tank. One pipe lets water flow into the system. The other lets water flow out. When the water heater is working correctly, water will flow from the storage tank to the collector and back again. You can use the hot water at the top of the tank for washing and cleaning. You can change the flow of water so that the temperature is hot or warm as desired. This solar water heater is easy to build and operate. It will last about 2 years before the rubber pipes need to be replaced. There is also something else you will need to make the solar water heater work: the sun. As you might expect, the heater will heat water only on sunny days. You can get more information about solar water heaters and other projects from Enterprise Works VITA. This group works internationally to fight poverty. The website is enterpriseworks.org. Choose the link for news and resources, then click on Publications. For VOA Special English, I'm Alex Villarreal. To read and listen to more stories about technology and for English teaching activities, go to voaspecialenglish.com. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and iTunes at VOA Learning English. This is the VOA Special English Technology Report. Children can spend hours a day looking at computer screens and other digital devices. Some eye care professionals say all that screen time has led to an increase in what they call computer vision syndrome. Nathan Bonilla Warford is an optometrist in Tampa, Florida, with VSP, Vision Service Plan, a big insurance provider. He says, "I see a lot more children who are coming into the office either because their parents have noticed that they have headaches or red or watery eyes or discomfort, or because their prescription, their nearsightedness, appears to be increasing at a fast rate, and they're worried." Dr. Bonilla Warford says part of the problem is that children may be more likely than adults to ignore early warning signs. Even if their eyes start to feel uncomfortable or they start to get a headache, they're less likely to tell their parents because they don't want to have the game or the computer or whatever taken away. He says another part of the problem is that people blink less often when they use digital devices. The average person who uses a computer or an electronic device blinks about 1/3 as much as we normally do in everyday life. So the front part of the eye gets dry. Eye doctors offer suggestions like following what is known as the 20-20-20 rule. Every 20 minutes, look away 20 feet or more for at least 20 seconds from whatever device you're using. 20 feet, that's 6 meters. Other suggestions include putting more distance between you and the device and using good lighting. Of course, you could also spend less time looking at screens. Many experts say children should spend no more than 2 hours a day using digital devices, with no screen time for children under 2. But not all eye doctors have noticed an increase in problems in children. Dr. David Hunter says he has not seen an increase in his practice as a pediatric ophthalmologist at Children's Hospital Boston. He also serves as a spokesman for the American Academy of Ophthalmology. Dr. Hunter thinks calling it a syndrome, as in computer vision syndrome, is a little much. He says the real problem is simple: spending too much time in one place, focusing on one thing. And while this might be tiring to the eyes, he says, there's certainly no evidence that it actually causes any damage to the eyes. For VOA Special English Technology Report, I'm Alex Villarreal. This is the VOA Special English Technology Report. Much has been done to improve security in the United States since the terrorist attacks of September 11th, 2001. Intelligence sharing and cooperation between federal, state, and local government agencies is said to be at an all-time high. There have also been improvements in airport security. But a new report says the United States is not as safe as it should be. It says America is not yet prepared for a truly catastrophic disaster. The report is from the National Security Preparedness Group at the Bipartisan Policy Center. The group is led by former New Jersey Governor Thomas Kean and former Congressman Lee Hamilton of Indiana. The two men also led the 9/11 Commission. Congress established the commission to investigate the hijacking attacks and to make proposals for guarding against future attacks. The new report noted that 9 of the reforms proposed by the Commission have either been carried out ineffectively or completely ignored. For example, the 9/11 Commission found that communication problems were a major issue during the attacks 10 years ago. Police, firefighters, and medical crews had trouble talking to each other because they were using different radio frequencies. Officials said this lack of communication led to needless loss of life. The commission said the government should identify radio frequencies that would be used only for emergency communications. However, this has yet to be done. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton commented on the report. She said radio frequencies for first responders was an issue she had worked on in the Senate and is long overdue for completion. On another issue, border security, she said, "We have emphasized innovation. For example, We are now using sophisticated new biometric screening tools to improve border security and the visa process. The report praised the deployment of U.S. Visit, a biometric entry system in the United States. The U.S. Visit system uses digital fingerprints and photographic images to identify people entering the United States. The report notes that a similar system for those leaving the country has yet to be established. It says such a system could have helped officials find 2 of the hijackers involved in the 9/11 attacks. For VOA Special English, I'm Alex Villarreal. To read and listen to more stories and to learn English, go to voaspecialenglish.com.